G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel, and in today's video we're going to be going through my round 21 tips and predictions for season 2022 of the AFL season. As well as that, we'll be recapping last week's tips for round 20 to see how I did last week in my tipping. Pretty eventful round of footy last week, so also one of the highest rounds I've got in a very long time. So before we get into the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and without further ado, we'll hop straight into it. So for round 20, I got a 7 out of 9 tips correct for the round. I cannot recall the last time I got 7 out of 9 tips correct, so certainly taking it. We obviously started off on the Friday night between the Dockers and the D's, and just really disappointing stuff. For the Dockers, it was sort of a must-win game to stay in the top 4, but getting nervous now as a Dockers fan. We're sitting 6 on the table, and considering how many teams are fighting for the 8 at the moment, I know this sounds stupid, but I'm scared we're not even going to make the 8 at this stage. Dropped it against the D's by 46 points. Tipped the Dockers to get it done by 3 points in a thriller. However, just wasn't our night. Wet weather also sort of costed us in the end, but also just stupid decision making, and the D's were far too strong majority of the game. We just can't seem to put together 4 quarters of footy. Everything that went inside 50 we just couldn't make amends of, and the D's could at the other end of the ground. So yeah, credits to the D's, much deserved win, and started off my tipping incorrect for round 20. Then we moved on to the Saturday games. It was the Pies and the Power at the MCG, and Collingwood once again scraping another close win under 10 points. Not sure how many weeks in a row this has now happened with Collingwood winning under 10 points. However, tipped the Pies to get it done by 9, and they got it done by 6. So yeah, very close margin, and I will be taking that for the tip as well. Then I tipped the Swans to get it done against the Giants at the SCG, and I wasn't able to watch any of this game. However, it just seems like Sydney just really outclassed the Giants. Total score of 39 for GWS, Sydney 112, just a dominant performance at their home venue. I tipped the Swans to get it done by 57, they got it done by 73, so a bit of an unpredictable one. You can't really tell with smashings if they're going to be like a certain margin. You know, they can maybe be a massive smashing, or you just really don't know from there. It could be a close game. However, got the tip correct. Then we moved over to Marvel Stadium for the Saints and the Hawks, and unfortunately, stupid decision, I tipped the Hawks. And, well, to be fair, the Saints only won by 2 goals. However, the Saints controlled the footy for majority of the game. Hawthorn never really stood a chance, but they kicked a few late to make the margin look a little bit prettier than what it actually was. Now, I did tip the Hawks to get this done by 61 points. Wow, bloody hell, stupid decision. Then Saturday night footy at GMHBA, we've got Cats and the Dogs. I did tip the Cats to get this done, and it wasn't looking pretty in the opening 2 quarters, I would say, because the Dogs, wow, they were outclassing Geelong in Geelong. So yeah, a bit of a strange thing to see, but I really did rely on the Cats. I never really got scared on my tip. I knew they were capable of the comeback. That's exactly what they did at their home venue. Did it for Joel Selwood in his milestone game, and got another tip correct as well. Then last game on the Saturday, it was the Crows and the Blues. And this one, wow, this one was a brilliant tip by myself. I tipped the Crows to get this done by a 5-point game. Pretty good bloody tip considering Carlton are sitting in the 8 and Adelaide are in the bottom 4. Tipping Adelaide is a bit of an upset. They got it done comfortably against the Blues. The Blues are playing just really inconsistent, and there are a few teams in the top 8 at the moment that are playing really just inconsistent footy. However, yeah, credit to the Crows because they were able to get this done comfortably against the top 8 side. And the Sunday games, I did get them all correct. Tipped the Suns to get over the line against the West Coast Eagles. Wasn't able to watch any of this game. However, the Suns got over the line by 3 points in what looks to be an absolute thriller of a game. Very high scoring affair as well up at Metricon, 107 to 104, so it looked to be a cracker of a contest up on the Gold Coast. Then I tipped the Tigers to get it done by 10 points against Brisbane. They got it done by 7 points. And, well, what can you really say? Now, obviously everyone knows this, but the Lions were up by 42 points. They were up by, I'm pretty sure, 36 at 3/4 time. And considering that they dropped it by 7, and Brisbane's horrible pattern continues of losing games at the MCG. I'm not sure how many in a row it is now. However, I think they've won 3 out of their past 30 or odd appearances at the MCG. So the Tigers, not gonna lie, I wasn't feeling great when I checked my phone after my own footy game and saw that the Lions were up by 36. Thought my tip was in danger. However, the Tigers were able to scrape a 7-point victory. The last game of round 20, we had the Bombers get over the line against the Kangaroos. I tipped the Bombers to get it done by 44. They got it done by 48. So even the margins were quite spot on this week. Now, obviously, I got 7 out of 9 tips correct with the actual tipping. However, including margins as well, I reckon I did a bloody fantastic job. And it's so sad to see us coming to round 21 now of the AFL season. We've absolutely flew through the season. Starts off on the Friday night between the D's and the Pies. And this, well, it's a bloody difficult game to tip because although Melbourne are sitting second on the table, Collingwood are sitting third and they're scraping wins against good teams, the Pies, and they're also scraping wins against the bad teams. So you really can just not tell with Collingwood at the moment. Now, obviously, they've won 10 straight in a row, but they've all been, well, a majority of them have been under 10 points. And yeah, as I just said before, Collingwood against the really good competing teams in season 2022, they're scraping wins. However, also against the bad bottom 4 teams, they're only scraping wins. So you genuinely just don't know with the Pies. And the D's, well, they're coming off a slaughter against the Dockers at OPTUS Stadium, and previously they were coming off the loss against the Dogs at Marvel. So the D's playing consistent footy with win, loss, win, loss, win as their past 5 on record, and now obviously Collingwood have won their last 10 in a row. We obviously saw these two teams battle it out on Queen's birthday earlier in the year, and the Pies were able to take home the Chockies. I do feel like the D's will just show up. I reckon they'll break Collingwood's winning streak this week. Although Melbourne are scheduled for another loss based on their last 5 games of form, Collingwood looking, well, not quite promising. However, they're getting the wins. They just don't have the percentage. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pies were able to scrape over the line, but I'm going to tip the D's to get it done. 9-point winners at the MCG. Hopefully it is a great cracker of a Friday night contest. And the Pies definitely do have a chance in this game. I just feel like against a D's side, the D's I reckon will be really switched on this week, and the Pies, they just can't be scraping these easy wins every week, especially coming into competitive finals footy. So I'm going to tip the D's to get it done. 9 points, MCG, Friday night. Then moving on to the Saturday games, we have the Hawks taking on the Gold Coast, 145 at UTAS. The Hawks went on a 3-game winning streak before losing against the Saints at Marvel, so I reckon they'll bring back that form. They had one off game against the Saints. I'm going to tip the Hawks to get it done. 23-point winners at UTAS Stadium, and I've figured out something. Every Hawthorn game I seem to tip them, and it's definitely not every week they get it done. So, going to back in the Hawks again. I'm not sure when the last time I actually tipped against the Hawks was. However, backing in the Hawks to get it done, and hopefully they can get it done for my tip. 2:10 PM at Giants Stadium, we have the GWS Giants taking on the Bombers. GWS sitting in 3rd last. This is just not expected from a team that have been in some pretty, well, good success over the past few seasons. You just don't expect GWS to drop that low on the ladder. The Bombers not doing much better this season, sitting 14th, percentage of 89.8. However, that doesn't really show how great their come up has been this year. They started off really poorly, but out of their past 5 games, they've won 4, have only dropped the game against the Pies after the siren as well. So they've been in a great competitive stage of footy, the Bombers, at the moment. And I feel like with the odds, the Bombers should realistically get this done. And I tipped the Giants too much, I reckon. They're just not a promising side to tip. So I'm going to be tipping the Bombers to get it done away from home. You never know with the margin of these games. It could be a close one, or it could also just be a real boring contest. Going to tip a boring contest. The Bombers get it done by 35 points. Not sure if it keeps their season alive. However, they are in some great form, the Bombers, and I reckon they'll be able to defeat the GWS Giants. Now, next at Marvel Stadium, this is a big bloody contest. The Dogs and the Dockers, 4:35 PM. Obviously a Freo fan, so I'm not going to tip against my own team. However, let's not just get ahead of myself. The Dogs, heavy favourites to win this game, $1.53 to $2.50. Freo sitting 6th on the ladder with only 2 of their past 5 results being wins. The Doggies sitting 10th on the table with also only 2 wins out of their past 5 games. Now at Marvel Stadium, we have been able to produce a brilliant brand of footy whenever we've played at Marvel Stadium. We've only dropped that 1 game there this year, which was against the Carlton Blues. Every other game at Marvel this year, we've been able to get the job done. So I'm going to back us in. We've been playing a brilliant brand of footy at Marvel Stadium, which we haven't been able to produce over the past few years. So definitely proud of the boys. I really don't want to go up myself here, but I'm going to say a 41-point margin. How we did it against the D's, how we did it against the Saints, how we did it against the Bombers, where we just absolutely accelerate in the second half. I'm just imagining it in my head. I reckon we can get it done by 41 points. And we sort of just need a big win just to boost us back up close to that top 4, if not in the top 4. Dockers get it done by 41 points, but the Dogs, bloody hell, they're going to be difficult to beat at Marvel Stadium. They're going to bring a brilliant competitive brand of footy, but hopefully the Dockers can just accelerate and cruise into that second half. Saturday night footy at GMHBA, we've got the Cats and the Saints. Geelong, heavy favourites to get this done at their home venue. I reckon they won't be able to drop 2 in a row at their home ground. I'm going to tip the Giants straight away. The Saints just haven't been able to convince me with the brand of footy they've been playing recently. I'm going to tip the Cats to get it done. Just a boring old game. 17 points. However, the Cats, they're just going to cruise past the Saints. The Saints might kick a few snags late in the last just to bring that margin down, but I feel like, yeah, the Cats just going to control the footy all night. Port Adelaide and Richmond at Adelaide Oval. Last game on the Saturday. Now, in the previous years, these teams have made some ripping contests, and at Adelaide Oval as well. Port coming off 3 losses in a row, which just isn't a good look. Richmond coming off the massive comeback win against the Brizzy Lions at the G. Port coming off the loss against Collingwood at the G as well, but bringing a competitive brand of footy at Adelaide Oval. I'm actually going to back in the Power here. They played a really competitive brand of footy against the Cats there a few weeks back, and I reckon they can be able to beat Richmond at their home ground. Saturday night footy, their fans will be there. Their fans allowed Saturday night footy for the Power. Now, obviously, the ripper games that we have seen there in the previous years, Richmond have been able to get over the line. Richmond sitting 9th, Port Adelaide 12th, and to Port Adelaide to get it done by 2 points, and hopefully these two sides can create another thriller for us to watch at home. Moving on to the Sunday games, we've got the Kangaroos taking on the Sydney Swans at Marvel Stadium, and what can you say, North have had 1 win out of their last 5 results, which was against Richmond in a thriller. However, against the Swans are sitting top 4. They've won their last 4 in a row, the Swans, so hard to bloody go past them. Obviously, heavy odds to win this. The Swans, I'll be tipping them straight away. 62-point winners for the Sydney Swans. The margin could certainly be bigger, especially after the big percentage booster they had last week against the Giants. If they can beat the Giants by that much, then they can beat the Kangaroos by 100. But I'll go just a little bit lower in case the Roos do decide to show up. Second last game of the round, we've got the Brizzy Lions taking on the Blues at the GABBA, 3:20 PM on the Sunday. Now, I reckon Carlton could compete, and this is certainly a game that Carlton could win. I'm going to tip Brisbane, however, I definitely do see Carlton having a big chance in this at the GABBA. Brisbane, well, they just haven't been as strong as they used to be in the past few years at the GABBA. They've been dropping a few games there this year in the past 5 to 10 weeks. Basing this game off Carlton's last 5 results, they are scheduled for a win. However, we're going to tip Brisbane to get it done by 27 points. Boring old game at the GABBA, and the Brisbane Lions will just control the footy all afternoon. And in conclusion of round 21, we see the West Coast Eagles take on the Adelaide Crows at OPTUS Stadium. The odds are to the Crows, but only just. The Crows sitting 15th, West Coast sitting 17th. This is at their home ground, the Eagles. They have been playing at least a bit of a competitive brand of footy, but I reckon the Crows, they should be able to get it done. I don't recall the last time they played at OPTUS, but I feel like the Crows, they're just going to be too strong in the end for the Eagles, especially coming off the strong win against the Blues at home. Going to tip Adelaide to get it done by 2 goals. However, you know, this one could be either a lot of a higher margin or maybe around the 12-point margin. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you haven't already, turn on the post notifications so you do not miss out when I do upload. And I'll see you all in my next video.